I'm Lance Lysowski, the Sabres beat writer for the Buffalo News here in Dallas, Texas at American Airlines Center, where the Sabres are going to face the Dallas Stars on New Year's Eve, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Ukko-Pekka-Luukkonen is going to be in goal for Buffalo. He has a .939 save percentage during this three-game win streak. Casey DeSmith's going to be on the other side in goal for the Dallas Stars. DeSmith, of course, has had quite a bit of success against Buffalo, dating back to his time with the Pittsburgh Penguins. Rasmus Dahlin, Tage Thompson, both going to be in the Sabres lineup tonight. They sat out practice on Monday for maintenance, so no big lineup questions going into this one. Dahlin ran the first power play unit during the morning skate. A few guys are still out here getting some late work in. Healthy scratches, of course. Second unit, no changes to that as well. Owen Power and Bowen Byram took turns on who was running the second power play unit with, of course, Jiri-Kulich, Alex Tuch. The power play bailed out the Sabres in St. Louis. They also defended well, though. I think that's part of the storyline that may have been overlooked. Yes, Ukko-Pekka-Luukkonen was very good in goal for Buffalo, but the Sabres kept most of those chances to the outside. Based on expected goals, the Blues had about 4 expected goals. They only scored 2, so it's not like the chances were completely out of hand. Buffalo kept them to the outside. They blocked shots. They still defended fairly well. The issue is breaking the puck out of their zone. They look slow. So the key tonight against Dallas is to get back to playing a connected game. You know, in the latter portion of that 13-game winless streak, the Sabres weren't playing a team game. They were disconnected, a lot of one-on-one hockey. Pond hockey is one way that I've heard it put, where too many individual plays because frustration was creeping in. Guys were feeling the pressure to just put a stop to it. Now that they're out of that skid, you could just tell how much more relaxed isn't the right term, but there is clearly a more positive feeling around the group because they have gotten back to that recipe that it's going to take for them to win consistently. Now, this team hasn't won 4 games in a row in 2 years. It has been a minute. And the glaring issue that's prevented them from getting the type of winning streak they're going to need is just that inability to repeat that recipe night in and night out, to defend well, to trust that the rush chances and that any scoring opportunity is going to come based on how well they're defending. It certainly helps that lineup continuity is back. Not a whole lot of lineup changes. They're going to use the same lineup again, although Lysowski, who's still on the ice right now, he's back from an illness, so they are back to having 13 healthy forwards. Nice to have a reserve, especially with 3 games remaining on this trip, including tonight. And really, it's getting all 4 lines going like they were on Long Island and in Chicago. That obviously was not the case in St. Louis. Third and fourth lines were good against the Blues for the most part. It was the first and the second that really did struggle at times against St. Louis. So this is going to be quite the challenge. Not a secret how good the Dallas Stars are. Their first 2 lines are very fast, playmakers, playoff experience. Whether it's Roope Hintz, a young center who I think is one of the more underrated players in the league. You got Jamie Benn, who's always a pain to play against. So, and they're good on the back end. You got Heiskanen, you got Harley. Matt Dumba's back in the lineup tonight, so that's another experienced guy on the back end for Dallas. The Sabres, it's all going to be about their game. Playing their game, repeating that style of play that has produced more promising results as of late. Now, one of the storylines, I guess 2 storylines that I think are important to mention are not Jiri-Kulich, somebody who's been talked about quite a bit by Sabres fans these last 2 games in particular, and Zach-Benson. Now, when it comes to Kulich, it's his scoring opportunities, the 2 highlight reel goals, one against the Islanders, one against the Blues, were the product of good defense, making a play at the latter half of the defensive zone, forcing a turnover, getting up ice in a hurry, and trusting a shot, which he has said that's the shot that he had in Rochester. It's just trusting that he can beat NHL goalies with it. He beat Sorokin on Long Island. He beat Binnington on Sunday, although Jordan Binnington left his 5-hole wide open, and a scorer like Kulich's going to pick that spot 9 times out of 10. And with Zach-Benson, it's just a complete game. The penalties are going to be something that he's going to have to rein in. Lindy Ruff's talked about it. Benson is well aware that he can't be in the penalty box as much as he has been. Some of those penalties are the product of playing hard, which you can live with as a coach. Battles, getting called for a hold, ticky-tack stuff that, as long as you're competing, a coach can live with that and he'll just trust his penalty kill. But it's the unnecessary, the frustration penalties. Benson has almost matched his penalty minutes total from last year, and we know how much of a conversation it was during his rookie season when Don Granato questioned the type of calls that are being made about Zach-Benson. If you recall, it's been almost a year since Granato took a unsportsmanlike conduct penalty in Sunrise, Florida, sticking up for Benson when he got called for a penalty in a tight game against the Panthers. But Benson, he's been really good. And, so much has been said and discussed about his development plan and whether he shouldn't have been up here last season. We don't have to rehash that, but I think it is important that he has continued to find ways to get better. Yes, there are some issues with turnovers at times. He needs to improve his shot. That is one area that's naturally going to get better as he gets more experience, as he gets stronger, as he begins to learn what it's going to take to beat NHL goalies. But he's constantly around the net. This team needs more of those guys, not fewer. So he is not deterred whatsoever about the physicality, the price that you have to pay to score goals in that area. But he's also playmaking. He's making good defensive plays to create some rush chances for that line. That Kulich line, you can argue, has been their best line these last two games. And they're going to have to continue that trajectory. They're going to have more difficult matchups, though, for certain. It would not be a surprise at all if Pete DeBoer, the Stars head coach, puts the Hintz line out there against Kulich because it's the youngest line on the Sabres. Kulich, Benson, and Krebs. A coach, you can look at analytics, maybe there's some film study, but you're going to think going into a game like this that you're going to be able to pick on them a little bit, that you're going to be able to exploit some of the growing pains that they're going to have. So those guys are going to have to really hold firm and just trust the defense and not get back to playing the sort of pond hockey that this team played during the latter portion of that 13-game skid. It's going to be interesting. Let's see if Thompson can get back to even strength scoring. Tuck's been really good, blocking shots, playing those 20 minutes a game. And Jason Zucker, I wrote about him. You can read it in the Wednesday print edition of the Buffalo News. It's online now, so go give it a read. Just about his role, the impact he's had. He's been their best free agent forward signing in almost 30 years, which is hard to believe, right? Or maybe it's not. They've signed big time players. Taylor Hall's the most recent, of course, and they just haven't worked out. Or some guys just haven't produced. Zucker, that's not been a problem. He's on pace for 22 goals and 55 points. Yeah, that's pretty good. He fits perfectly. It's the speed, get it in the front of the net. The type of player, I think his skill set just complements Tuck and Thompson really well. Sabres are going to have to get that line going tonight, but they're going to get difficult matchups. That's what the road is all about. The thing about this team, of course, is that, dating back to the start of last season, they've been pretty good on the road. It's been home where the issue has been, which you wouldn't think would be the case for a young team where matchups are going to be more challenging. Being on the road, different routines. They've done fairly well. Much different challenge here tonight in Dallas on New Year's Eve. I'm Lance Lysowski. Stay tuned for more coverage of the Buffalo News. Post-game stories, of course. Try to get a post-game video in New Year's Eve. It's going to be pretty chaotic in downtown Dallas, so we'll see what that looks like. See you soon. Thanks again.